Listen, if you have any pennies lying around right now, on your dresser, in your car, in your pocket, you need to stop everything and check. I'm serious, because hidden inside what looks like ordinary spare change could be a silent fortune that people are accidentally spending every single day. And nobody is talking about this. Collectors are fighting behind closed doors. Auctions are exploding with real shock numbers. And these coins, they change everything. I'm warning you right now, do not spend these coins. What I'm about to show you isn't just rare, it's dangerous to ignore. Each coin in this video gets rarer, more intense, and more valuable. So stay with me, because the next one might be the one sitting in your hand right now. Coin number 1. You've seen this coin before. That's what makes it so dangerous. It doesn't shine. It doesn't sparkle. In fact, most people would look at it and think it's damaged, dirty, maybe even worthless. Those dark black spots, the uneven tone, the slightly aged surface, that's exactly why people spend it without thinking. And that is how fortunes disappear. Because this 1,936 wheat penny without a mint mark, especially one with those natural blackened surfaces in very fine condition, has quietly crossed into a level of value that most people cannot even comprehend. We're talking about a coin that has sold for $373,000. Yes, for a single penny. Now here's where things get serious. 1,936 was not just another year. America was still clawing its way out of the Great Depression. Money was tight. Jobs were uncertain. The country was under economic pressure, and the US Mint was pushing hard to keep coins flowing into circulation. That pressure matters, because when mints are under stress, when production ramps up, when dies are reused longer than they should be, tiny imperfections begin to creep in. Subtle variations, slight inconsistencies, and sometimes those differences create coins that collectors become completely obsessed with decades later. This specific 1,936 penny with no mint mark means it was struck in Philadelphia. But here's the twist. Philadelphia produced massive quantities that year, which makes most 1,936 pennies common. Most, but not this one, because condition, surface, and survival are everything. Let me paint the picture for you. You're holding a coin that's about 19 millimeters in diameter, weighing roughly 3.11 grams, with a thickness that feels almost insignificant between your fingers, yet solid, dense, unmistakably old. The copper composition, 95% copper, with traces of tin and zinc, has aged over nearly a century. And that aging, it tells a story. Those black spots you see, most people think they're damage. Collectors see something completely different. They see untouched history. They see original toning. They see a surface that hasn't been stripped, polished, or destroyed by cleaning. That darkness, that uneven patina, it's proof the coin has survived without interference. And survival like that is rare, because over the years, millions of these coins were cleaned, scrubbed, or chemically altered by people who thought they were improving them. In reality, they were erasing value permanently. Let me be very clear here. Never clean this coin. Not ever. Cleaning it doesn't just reduce value, it can destroy it completely. That original surface, even if it looks imperfect, is exactly what serious collectors are hunting for. And here's something most people miss. The absence of a mint mark is not just a detail, it's a trigger. Collectors fixate on it. They compare strike sharpness. They examine the wheat stalks on the reverse. They analyze Lincoln's jawline on the obverse, looking for crispness, depth, and wear patterns that tell them how the coin lived its life. On the front, you've got Abraham Lincoln's profile, calm, steady, facing right. The word liberty sits to the left. the date 1936 to the right. Above him, "In God We Trust." Simple, familiar, easy to ignore. Flip it over, and that's where the emotion kicks in. Two wheat stalks curve along the edges, framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. At the top, E pluribus unum. This design ran from 1909 to 1958. Millions were made. But very few survived in this kind of untouched, naturally aged condition. And collectors know it. That's why when one of these appears in the market, especially with strong detail and original toning, the room goes quiet. Not loud, not flashy. Quiet, because serious buyers don't shout. They wait, they study, and then they strike. Bidding becomes aggressive, but controlled. Calculated. Personal. These aren't casual buyers. These are people who understand exactly what they're looking at. A piece of history, a preserved moment from one of the most economically intense periods in American history. And more importantly, a shrinking opportunity. Because every year, fewer of these coins exist in original condition. More get lost. More get damaged. More get cleaned by mistake. Supply is going down. Demand? It's rising. And that's what creates this insane value. That's how a 1 cent coin turns into $373,000 of hidden wealth. A silent fortune, sitting unnoticed in someone's drawer. Or worse, being handed over in change at a gas station. So what should you do if you think you've found one? First, don't panic. But don't ignore it either. Check the date, 1936. Look for the absence of a mint mark under the date. Examine the surface. Are those dark spots natural, uneven, almost embedded into the coin? That's a good sign. Check the details. Can you still see definition in Lincoln's hair? The wheat lines on the back? And then, this part is critical. Do not spend this coin. Get it professionally graded. Authentication is everything in this market. Without it, you're guessing. With it, you're stepping into serious money territory. And remember, patience creates wealth here. The people who rush, clean, or ignore these coins lose out. The ones who understand, who wait, who preserve, they're the ones holding quiet fortunes. And this is just the beginning. Because the next coin, it makes this one look almost ordinary. It's rarer, more misunderstood. And the mistake people make with it is even worse. Stay with me, because what comes next is something most people will never, ever catch in time. Next up, coin number 2. Most people throw this coin away faster than they spend it. I'm not exaggerating. They see the surface, dark, uneven, almost rusty looking, and their brain instantly labels it as damaged. Worthless. Just another old penny that's been sitting too long in a jar somewhere. And that right there is the mistake that's quietly costing people hundreds of thousands of dollars. Because this 1957 wheat penny, with no mint mark, layered aging, and deep black spotting in very fine condition, is sitting in a category most people don't even know exists. A category of coins that look worse, but are actually worth more. We're talking about a coin that has reached $319,000 in today's market. Let that sink in for a second. A penny that people actively avoid. Now, here's where things get uncomfortable. 1957 was not some random year. It was the final stretch of an era. America was transitioning fast. Post-war expansion, industrial growth, and the US. Mint was pushing out enormous volumes of coins to keep up with a booming economy. And when production ramps up like that, precision starts slipping. Dies wear down faster. Metal quality varies slightly between batches. Pressures increase, and coins begin to carry subtle, almost invisible differences that only show themselves decades later. This is one of those coins. At first glance, it looks tired, maybe even corroded. But look closer. That rusty layer effect you see? That's not actual rust, because pennies like this are made from 95% copper with small amounts of tin and zinc. Copper doesn't rust the way iron does. What you're seeing is oxidation, natural aging, a slow chemical transformation that has built up over nearly 70 years, creating layered toning, deep textures, and a surface that tells a story most coins can't. Collectors don't run from that. They chase it. Because that kind of untouched original surface is becoming harder to find every single year. Let me bring you into the physical reality of this coin. You're holding something just 19 millimeters across, with a weight of about 3.11 grams. Thin, around 1.5 millimeters, but dense enough to feel real, grounded, historical. The edges are smooth, the face slightly worn, but still alive with detail if you know where to look. And that's where everything changes. On the obverse, the front, you see Abraham Lincoln. But not just a face, a timeline. The wear on his cheek, the soft fading of his coat, the way the light hits those darker patches across the surface. It's not random. It's survival. The word liberty is still visible, though softened. The date, 1957, sits there quietly, not screaming for attention, just existing, waiting for the right person to notice. And here's the key detail most people miss. There is no mint mark, which means this coin came out of Philadelphia, the heart of US coin production at the time. Now flip it over. Those iconic wheat stalks curving along both sides frame the words 1 cent and United States of America. But in this coin, they don't look perfect. Don't look. They look aged. The lines may be slightly softened, the fields darker, the contrast deeper. And that's exactly what serious collectors want. Because perfection is common. But character? Character is rare. And this coin has it in layers. Now let's talk about why survival like this is so uncommon. Coins from 1957 were used. Hard. They circulated heavily during a time when cash was king. They passed through thousands of hands, pockets, registers, and environments. Most were worn down completely. Others were cleaned, scrubbed, by people who thought they were making them look better. But coins like this one? They survived untouched. No polishing, no chemicals, no interference, just time. And time, in the coin world, can either destroy value or create it. In this case, it created a silent fortune. Now here's where things get intense. Collectors are no longer just looking for shiny coins. That era is fading. Today's serious buyers are hunting for originality, for surfaces that haven't been altered, for coins that still carry the raw fingerprint of history. And when a 1957 wheat penny like this shows up, dark, layered, authentic, it triggers something deeper. It becomes personal. Bidding doesn't start loud. It starts careful, observational. Then someone recognizes it. Then another, and suddenly the room shifts. Because they all know there aren't many left like this. And there will be even fewer tomorrow. That's when the competition begins. Quiet, aggressive, focused. Collectors don't just want this coin. They don't want anyone else to have it. That's why coins like this don't just sell, they escalate. They climb. They shock. Until one of them lands at numbers like $319,000. And the scariest part? Someone, somewhere, had that coin and didn't realize it. They saw the dark spots. They saw the uneven surface. And they let it go. Don't be that person. If you ever come across a 1957 wheat penny like this, here's what you need to do immediately. First, Check for the date and confirm there is no mint mark. Second, look closely at the surface. Are the black spots natural? Do they feel embedded? Part of the coin, not sitting on top? Third, examine the details. Even in very fine condition, there should still be visible structure, especially in the wheat lines and Lincoln's profile. And then, stop. Do nothing else. Do not clean this coin. I don't care how dirty it looks. I don't care if you think it could shine better. Cleaning it will erase the very thing that makes it valuable. That layered toning, that rusty look, is the reason collectors want it. Remove that, and you remove the money. Next, get it professionally graded. This step is non-negotiable. Authentication and condition verification are what transform a maybe valuable coin into a confirmed high-value asset. Without grading, you're guessing. With grading, you're stepping into a completely different world. A world where a single penny becomes a life-changing opportunity. And here's a quiet truth most people don't understand. The people who build wealth in coins aren't the ones who rush. They're the ones who notice. They're the ones who hold. They're the ones who understand that sometimes the ugliest coin in the pile is the one worth the most. This is not fiction. This is happening right now. Coins like this are still out there, circulating, hiding, being ignored, being spent. And every time one disappears, the remaining ones become even more valuable. So before you ignore that dark, worn-out penny, before you toss it aside or hand it over without thinking, ask yourself one question. What if you're holding $319,000 and you just don't see it yet? Because that's exactly how silent fortunes are lost. And now you know.